The stars looked different today. Susan Mitchell noticed it first as she stood at the wide window of the USS Valiant's observation deck. For 12 years she had served in Earth's Space Defense Force, and never had the void seemed so full of promise and danger all at once. "Commander, you're needed on the bridge." The voice belonged to Alan Rodriguez, his usual calm tone betraying a hint of urgency. Susan nodded and followed him through the ship's corridors. The crew they passed seemed tense, moving with purpose. News had spread fast after the unknown object appeared at the edge of their solar system just hours ago. The bridge hummed with activity as Susan entered. Captain William Carter stood in the center, his gray eyes fixed on the main screen. He acknowledged her with a small nod. "It's changed course," he said. "It's heading straight for us." The object on the screen was unlike anything humans had built. It shimmered with an odd blue light, its shape smooth and flowing like water frozen in time. No visible engines, no visible weapons, yet it moved with clear purpose. "Time to intercept?" Susan asked. 20 minutes at current speed," replied Linda Morgan from the tracking station. Her fingers moved quickly over the glowing controls. Captain Carter turned to face his crew. "This could be it. The moment mankind has waited for. First contact." His voice was steady, but Susan had served with him long enough to spot the tension in his shoulders. "Or it could be something else," Susan said quietly. Carter nodded. "All stations, maintain alert status. Weapons ready but not targeted. We represent Earth here, people. Let's hope we're about to make friends, but be ready if we're not." The minutes passed slowly. Susan studied the approaching ship on her personal screen. Its surface seemed to ripple occasionally like the skin of some great space beast. Engineers couldn't explain how it moved without any visible propulsion. "They're slowing," Linda announced, "matching our orbit." "They're hailing us," Alan added, from the communication station. "Simple radio waves, they figured out our technology." Carter straightened his uniform. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered, and the image of an alien appeared. It looked somewhat like a large lizard standing upright, with scales that shifted color in the light. Its eyes were large and dark, with no visible pupils. When it moved its head, the movement was smooth and deliberate. "Greetings, humans." The voice came through clearly, translated by the ship's computer. "I am Ambassador Zorn of the Galactic Council. We have been watching your world for some time." Susan felt a chill despite the regulated temperature of the bridge. Something about the way the alien said "watching" bothered her. Carter stepped forward. "I am Captain William Carter of the United Earth Space Defense Force. We welcome you to our solar system." The alien's mouth, a narrow slit with no lips, curved slightly at the edges in what might have been a smile. "Your species has developed quickly. We have deemed you worthy of attention." "We have many questions," Carter said. "As do we," replied Zorn. "We invite representatives of your world to board our vessel. We wish to discuss Earth's place in the greater galactic community." Susan moved close to Carter and whispered, "We should be cautious, sir. We know nothing about them." Carter kept his eyes on the screen but nodded slightly. "We are honored by your invitation, Ambassador. However, our protocols for first contact require us to report to our government first. Would you permit us some time?" The alien's head tilted. For a moment, Susan thought she saw annoyance in those dark eyes, but it passed quickly. "Of course, we understand caution. You have 12 of your hours to consult with your leaders." The screen went dark. "Opinions?" Carter asked, looking around. "The bridge. They found us, not the other way around," Susan said. "They know more about us than we know about them. That puts us at a disadvantage." Alan nodded. "And they were very quick to invite us aboard their ship. Seems too easy." "I don't trust them," Linda added from her station. "When they mentioned watching us, my skin crawled." Carter rubbed his chin. "I feel the same, but we can't ignore this. This is the moment humanity has been preparing for. We need to inform Earth Central immediately." Within an hour, the news had spread across Earth. The alien ship was visible from the ground now, a new star that didn't move with the others. People gathered in streets, in homes, in bars. all looking up, all wondering what this meant for humanity. In the United Nations Emergency Council chamber, leaders from around the world gathered. The room buzzed with nervous energy as Captain Carter's report played on the large screen. President Jane Wells of the North American Alliance stood as the recording ended. We need to decide on our response. The 12-hour deadline gives us little time. We should accept their invitation, said the Chinese representative. This is an opportunity for advancement. Think of the technology they might share, or the weapons they might use, countered the Russian leader. We know nothing about this Galactic Council. What if this is just the first step in an invasion? Dr. Peter Lin, Earth's leading scientist in xenobiology, spoke up. In nature, when a more advanced predator approaches a less advanced one, it often uses deception. I advise extreme caution. Susan, who had been asked to attend the meeting, listened carefully. She had spent her life preparing to defend Earth. But against what? Other humans, not aliens. This was uncharted territory. We should send a small delegation, President Wells finally suggested. Show our willingness to talk, but keep our guard up. The vote was quick. Earth would send 3 representatives, a diplomat, a scientist, and a military officer. Susan was not surprised when Captain Carter was chosen as the military representative. What none of them knew was that aboard the alien vessel, Ambassador Zorn was reporting to the full Galactic Council. The humans are exactly as our studies predicted, curious, cautious, divided in their opinions. They will send representatives to our ship. Another alien, larger and with darker scales, leaned forward. And they suspect nothing. They are suspicious by nature, Zorn replied. But they have no proof of our intentions. They will come. And when they do, we will begin the process. Excellent, said the larger alien. Earth is rich in resources we need, and humans will make useful additions to our labor force. They are primitive enough to control but advanced enough to be useful. Just like the others. What they didn't realize was that humans' suspicion and paranoia, traits that had often held them back as a species, would soon become their greatest strength. On the USS Valiant, Susan Mitchell looked out at the alien ship and felt a deep sense of unease. She didn't know what was coming, but she knew one thing for certain. Humanity would not go quietly into subjugation. Earth was about to surprise the galaxy. Dr. Olivia Benson had not slept in 36 hours. The walls of her office at the United Nations headquarters were covered with screens showing recordings of the alien ambassador. She played them over and over, watching every small movement, listening to every sound. As Earth's best expert in language and communication, Olivia had been called in immediately after first contact. Her job was simple but vital: figure out if the aliens were telling the truth. Play it again, she said to her computer. Slow down section 3. On the main screen, Ambassador Zorn's face appeared. The alien was speaking about the Galactic Council's peaceful intentions. Olivia leaned forward, eyes narrowed. Stop. There. Did you see that? She asked her assistant, Greg Porter. Greg shook his head. I didn't notice anything unusual. Look at the way the scales near the eyes shift color when he mentions peaceful cooperation. Now compare it to when he talks about Earth's resources. Greg watched as Olivia played both clips side by side. The pattern is different, he said, surprised. In humans, we have involuntary facial expressions that often reveal our true feelings. It seems these aliens have something similar with their scale coloration. Olivia pointed to several more examples. And there's something else. Their translator is good, but I've noticed small inconsistencies in what they call ceremonial phrases in the treaty document. She pulled up the proposed treaty the aliens had sent ahead of the scheduled meeting. These sections, they claim, are just traditional greetings? They're not. When I break down the linguistic patterns, they're actually binding legal clauses. Very cleverly hidden ones that basically give them control of Earth's resources and population. Greg's face paled. You mean they're trying to trick us into signing away our planet? Exactly. Olivia gathered her notes. We need to tell the Security Council immediately. Across the city, in a heavily guarded conference room, the 3 chosen Representatives were preparing for their mission. Captain William Carter studied the schematics of what they knew about the alien ship. Dr. Peter Lynn reviewed biological data on the aliens. And Ambassador Maria Hernandez practiced diplomatic responses. The door opened and President Wells entered, followed by Olivia Benson. The tension in the room rose when they saw the serious expressions on their faces. "We have a problem, President," Wells announced. "Dr. Benson has uncovered evidence that the Galactic Council may not be as friendly as they claim." Olivia quickly explained her findings. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "So this is not a diplomatic mission," Carter said. "It's a trap." "Most likely," Olivia agreed. "The question is, what do we do about it?" Ambassador Hernandez frowned. "If we refuse to meet, we show our suspicion. They might just attack outright. And if we go," Dr. Lynn added, "we might be walking into a trap." President Wells looked at each of them. "We need more information before we decide. And we need someone who thinks differently than diplomats or soldiers." She pressed a button on the table. "Send him in." The man who walked in didn't look impressive. Average height, brown hair starting to gray, wearing a simple suit. But something in his eyes made everyone sit up straighter. "This is Jack Riley," President Wells said. "Former intelligence operative, expert in unconventional problem solving." Jack nodded to the room but said nothing. "We need options," President Wells told him. "If the Galactic Council is planning to take over Earth, how do we respond?" Jack considered for a moment. "May I see everything we know about them?" For the next hour, he studied the data, asking occasional questions. Finally, he looked up. "They expect us to be either naive or openly hostile. Either way, they win. If we trust them, they trick us. If we attack, they crush us with superior technology." He smiled slightly. "So we give them a third option. We play along. Let them think we're naive. Meanwhile, we prepare." "Prepare how?" Captain Carter asked. "Their technology is far beyond ours. Technology isn't everything," Jack replied. "Humans have been fighting against superior forces for our entire history. We've gotten very good at it." He pointed to the data about the Council's previous contacts with other worlds. "Look at the pattern. They've done this 17 times before, each time the same way. They expect us to follow the same script the others did, so we pretend to, but we'll be writing our own ending." "It's risky," President Wells said. "Less risky than open defiance or blind trust," Jack pointed out. "They're watching us right now. We need to appear divided, uncertain, and ultimately willing to sign their treaty." "While actually doing what?" Dr. Lynn asked. "Learning everything we can. Finding their weaknesses and preparing a surprise they won't see coming until it's too late." Over the next few days, Earth followed Jack's plan. News channels showed debates about whether to trust the aliens. Some countries publicly announced their eagerness to sign the treaty, while others expressed doubts. It all seemed very human, very divided, very predictable to the watching aliens. Aboard their ship, Ambassador Zorn reported to the Council. "The humans are reacting as expected. Their leaders are coming to sign the treaty. Once they do, Phase 1 will be complete." The head of the Council, a massive alien with dark red scales, nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent. Earth will make a valuable addition to our holdings. Their resources are plentiful, and humans will provide good labor for our mining operations." "Some of them are suspicious," Zorn admitted. "But they have no proof and their kind always has doubters. The important thing is that their official representatives are coming to us. And when they leave," another council member added, "they will return to Earth as our loyal servants, ready to help prepare their world for our arrival." What the Council didn't know was that Earth was preparing in ways they couldn't imagine. In secret facilities around the planet, scientists worked day and night studying the limited data they had on alien technology. Military forces ran drills for scenarios never before considered, and intelligence agencies set up the most important network of spies in human history. When Captain Carter, Dr. Lynn, and Ambassador Hernandez boarded the shuttle to the alien ship, they were not going as naive representatives of a primitive world. They were the first wave of Earth's most audacious plan. As the shuttle docked with the massive alien vessel, Carter touched the small device hidden in his collar. It looked like a simple decoration but was actually a sophisticated scanner and transmitter. "Remember," he said quietly to his companions, "we're just there to learn and stall for time. Show appropriate awe, act impressed, and notice everything." The airlock opened, and Ambassador Zorn greeted them with what they now recognized as a false smile. "Welcome aboard, humans. The Galactic Council awaits you." The three humans stepped forward looking suitably impressed and just a little nervous. Perfect prey, the aliens thought. They had no idea that the hunt had already begun. Lieutenant Samantha Weaver was not supposed to be important. She was picked for the cultural exchange program with the aliens because she seemed friendly and harmless. With her warm smile and open face, she looked like someone who would be impressed by anything the aliens showed her. That was exactly what Earth's Secret Defense Council wanted. 3 weeks had passed since the first human delegation visited the alien ship. Instead of signing the treaty right away, they had managed to delay, asking for more time to study the wonderful opportunity. The aliens had agreed, thinking humans were simply slow and careful. To build trust, they had suggested a cultural exchange program. Selected humans would visit the alien ship to learn about the Galactic Council, while council representatives would visit Earth to learn about human culture. The aliens thought this would help convince humans to sign the treaty. Earth's leaders knew it was their best chance to gather intelligence. Sam was paired with a young alien named Zar. As a junior diplomat, Zar seemed genuinely curious about humans. This made him perfect for Sam's secret mission. "This is one of our most famous paintings," Sam said as they walked through the National Art Gallery. She stopped in front of a large canvas showing a battle scene. The artist painted it almost 200 years ago. Zar's scales shimmered with interest. "Your species finds beauty in conflict. Fascinating." "We have a complicated relationship with war," Sam replied, watching Zar carefully. "It has shaped much of our history. Yet you've survived. Many species destroy themselves before reaching space." Sam smiled. "We came close a few times." Over the next few days, Sam took Zar to more museums, concerts, and historical sites. She noticed that the alien was particularly interested in exhibits about human warfare, strategy, and survival stories. "You mentioned that the Galactic Council has many member species," Sam said during one of their visits. "How did they all join?" Zar's scales flickered briefly. "Through enlightenment. When a species reaches a certain level of development, the Council extends an invitation. Like you're doing with Earth." "Exactly. It is a great honor." Sam nodded, pretending to be impressed. But she had seen the flicker in Zar's scales. Dr. Benson had taught the exchange team what that meant. Zar was not telling the whole truth. That night, Sam reported to her handler, a quiet man who used the name John. They met in a small coffee shop that had been swept for listening devices. "He's definitely hiding something about how planets join the Council," Sam said, keeping her voice low. John nodded. "We need more. The scientists still don't understand enough about their technology to find weaknesses." "I think I might have an opportunity," Sam said. "Zar mentioned he has a personal data terminal in his quarters at the embassy. He's invited me there tomorrow to show me images of his home world." "That's a risk," John warned. "It's also our best chance. He trusts me." Next day, Sam visited Zar at the alien embassy. The building had been a luxury hotel before being given to the aliens for their stay. Zar's room was on the top floor with a view of the city. "Your world has such variety," Zar said as they looked out the window. "So many different climates and landscapes. I'd like to see your world someday," Sam replied. "Perhaps you will. Once Earth joins the Council, travel between worlds will be possible for specially selected humans." "Specially selected?" "Those who show the most aptitude and loyalty," Zari explained. "Now, let me show you my home." He turned to his data terminal, a crystalline device that projected holographic images. Sam watched carefully as he operated it, noting the sequence of touches. "This is the capital city. Czar said as an image appeared of a vast crystalline metropolis. As they viewed the images, Sam asked questions that required Czar to search for different information. She was mapping how the device worked, looking for her chance. "I just realized I'm late for another meeting," Czar said suddenly, checking a small device on his wrist. "Would you mind waiting here? I need to send a quick message, and I'll be right back." "Of course," Sam smiled. The moment Czar left the room, Sam moved to the data terminal. Her hands shook slightly as she tried to remember the exact sequence Czar had used. The alien writing was impossible to read, but she had memorized the patterns and positions. A few tense moments later, she was in. The holographic display changed to show a file system. Sam quickly attached a small device to the terminal, something that looked like jewelry, but was actually a high-speed data copier designed by Earth's best engineers. She heard footsteps in the hallway and quickly returned to her seat by the window. The copying device would only need 30 seconds. Czar returned, apologizing for the delay. They continued looking at images from his world, Sam forcing herself to appear interested while counting seconds in her head. When she left an hour later, the small device was back on her wrist, filled with copied files from Czar's terminal. That night, a team of Earth's best computer scientists worked to decode the alien data. Sam sat with them, helping to identify what she had seen during her sessions with Czar. By morning, they had broken through the basic security. "This is it," said Dr. Kevin Nash, the lead scientist. "This changes everything." The files contained the true history of the Galactic Council. They had not invited 17 species to join them. They had conquered them using the exact same method each time: peaceful contact, cultural exchange, treaty signing, and then complete subjugation. The last species that had openly resisted had been bombarded from orbit until they surrendered. Now they worked as miners on their own world, harvesting resources for the Council. But the data revealed something else, something no one expected: details about Council technology. Their shields operated on predictable frequency cycles. Their weapons required massive energy buildup before firing. And most importantly, their computer systems were vulnerable to certain types of quantum interference that Earth had been experimenting with. "They're not invincible," Dr. Nash said, looking at Sam with new hope in his eyes. "They have weaknesses, and now we know them." Sam's discovery was rushed to the Emergency Defense Council. President Wells looked grim as she studied the reports. "So, it's confirmed. They plan to enslave us just as they've done to others." General Frank Martinez nodded. "Yes, Madam President, but now we have a chance, a small one." Jack Riley, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. "We need to become the virus that infects their system from the inside out." "What do you mean?" President Wells asked. "Their weaknesses can be exploited, but not through direct confrontation. Their fleet is still too powerful. We need to turn their own confidence against them. Make them think they've won until it's too late." Sam looked around the room at Earth's leaders. For the first time since the aliens arrived, she saw something new in their eyes. Not just determination or fear, but hope. A plan was forming. Earth would not be the 18th conquered world in the Council's collection. Instead, it would be the first to fight back and win, not through superior firepower, but through the traits humans had perfected over centuries, of their own conflicts, deception, adaptability, and the unwavering will to remain free. The real battle was about to begin. The alien flagship hung in space like a giant crystal. Its surface glowed with blue light as it waited above Earth. Today was the day the Council had been waiting for. The treaty signing ceremony would mark Earth as the 18th world to join their empire. At least, that was what the aliens believed. Captain William Carter adjusted his dress uniform as he prepared to board the shuttle. President Wells stood before the small group of human delegates, her face serious. "You all know the plan," she said quietly. "Everything depends on perfect timing. The fate of our world is in your hands." The group included Carter, President Wells, herself, and Jack Riley, who was posing as a cultural advisor. Each wore formal clothes with special decorations that were actually disguised technology. Dr. Nash and his team had worked day and night to create these devices. They looked like simple pins and jewelry, but were actually sophisticated tools designed to interface with and disrupt alien systems. "Remember," Jack said, "act impressed, but not too smart. Let them think they're dealing with simple, trusting humans." The shuttle trip to the alien flagship took 20 minutes. Through the windows, Carter could see Earth growing smaller below them. He thought about what they were fighting for, not just survival, but freedom, the right to decide their own future. Ambassador Zorn greeted them at the docking bay. "Welcome, honored guests. The council awaits you in the grand chamber." As they walked through the massive ship, their hidden devices silently mapped every corridor, every system. The aliens had no idea that beneath the smiles and polite questions, the humans were gathering crucial information for the next phase of their plan. "Your vessel is truly impressive," President Wells said, looking suitably awed. "How many crew members do you have?" "Over 10,000, Zorn replied proudly. "This is the flagship of our fleet." They reached the grand chamber, a vast room with walls that seemed to be made of living crystal. At the far end sat 7 large aliens, the High Council themselves. Their scales were darker and their eyes colder than Zorn's. "Approach," said the center figure, clearly the leader. The human delegation walked forward. Carter noticed how the aliens looked down at them, both literally and figuratively. The arrogance was clear in their posture. They saw humans as primitives, barely worth their attention except as resources to be used. "Today marks a historic moment," the council leader said. "Earth will join the galactic community under our guidance." President Wells bowed slightly. "We are honored by your acceptance." The ceremony began with alien music that hurt human ears and speeches about unity and progress. All the while, the hidden devices continued their work, connecting to the ship's systems and planting Dr. Nash's specially designed virus. "Now," said the council leader finally, "we will complete the treaty signing." An alien attendant brought forward a crystalline tablet. It glowed with strange symbols. The treaty text in the council's language. "Simply place your hand on the tablet," Zorn instructed President Wells. "It will record your acceptance." This was the crucial moment. Everything depended on what happened next. President Wells stepped forward, the Earth delegation's data tablet in her hand. It was supposed to connect with the alien system to receive and acknowledge the treaty. Instead, it would deliver Dr. Nash's quantum virus directly into the heart of the Council's network. "Before we proceed," Wells said, "our custom requires that we also record the treaty in our own format." She held out the human tablet toward the alien one. The Council leader nodded, seeing no harm in this primitive custom. The moment the tablets connected, everything changed. President Wells pressed a hidden sequence of buttons on her device, and Dr. Nash's virus was unleashed. Throughout the flagship, systems began failing. Emergency lights flashed as the virus spread from the main computer to every connected system. In seconds, it jumped to other council ships through their communication network. "What is happening?" the council leader demanded, scales flaring in anger. Carter stepped forward, no longer pretending to be impressed or submissive. "Earth's response to your planned invasion." The council members rose from their seats, but their guards' weapons would not fire. The virus had disabled them along with most other systems. Across the solar system, Earth ships emerged from hiding places in the asteroid belt and behind moons. They were small compared to the alien vessels, but they were numerous and equipped, with weapons specifically designed to target the weaknesses Sam had discovered. Inside the flagship, the human delegation pulled out hidden weapons. They hadn't come to sign a treaty. They had come to take control of the ship. "This is impossible," Zorn said, his voice shaking. "You are primitives. How could you have developed technology to counter ours?" "We didn't," Jack replied calmly. "We used your own technology against you. The arrogance of the Council was its greatest weakness." On Earth, Dr. Nash and his team watched as data streamed in from the human devices aboard the flagship. The virus was working perfectly, spreading through the entire Council fleet. The masterstroke came when the virus activated dormant protocols in the Council's communication system. It broadcast a message to all 17 previously conquered worlds. The Council ships were vulnerable, their control systems compromised, their weapons offline. In an instant, rebellion erupted across the galaxy. Species that had been enslaved for generations saw their chance for freedom and took it. Back on the flagship, Carter and his team secured the bridge. The aliens were in shock, unable to understand how their perfect plan had failed. "You should have done more research on human history," President Wells told the captured council members. "We've spent thousands of years fighting each other. We've had to become experts at warfare, at espionage, at resistance against superior forces. Did you really think we would just surrender?" The council leaders' scales had turned a dull gray color. "What do you want? Resources? Technology? We can negotiate." "We're not like you," Wells replied. "We don't want to conquer or enslave. We want freedom, for ourselves and for all the worlds you've subjugated." Over the next few hours, reports came in from across the solar system and beyond. The Council fleet was disabled. The rebellions on conquered worlds were succeeding. What had seemed impossible that morning was now reality. The mighty Galactic Council had been defeated by what they had considered a primitive species. The tide had turned. Earth had not just defended itself, it had changed the course of galactic history. And it had done so not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through courage, cunning, and the unwavering belief that freedom was worth fighting for. As Carter looked out from the captured bridge at his home planet below, he felt a mix of pride and hope. This was not an ending, but a beginning. Humanity's first real step into the wider galaxy would not be as slaves, but as liberators. The real work was just beginning. 1 year passed since the day humans turned the tables on the Galactic Council. The newly built Galactic Embassy in Geneva gleamed in the morning sun. Its design blended human architecture with elements from a dozen alien worlds, a symbol of the new order that had emerged from the ashes of the Council's defeat. Admiral Susan Mitchell, recently promoted from her commander rank, stood beside Captain Carter as they watched ships from various worlds arrive for the historic gathering. Some were sleek and crystalline like the former Council vessels. Others were more organic in design, reflecting the diverse cultures that had broken free from Council rule. "Hard to believe it's only been a year," Susan said quietly. "Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago." Carter nodded. "When we made first contact, I thought we might be fighting for our survival. I never imagined we'd end up here. Leading a galactic alliance rather than being slaves in a galactic empire," Susan added with a smile. The former flagship of the MAR Council had been transformed into a neutral meeting place where representatives from all worlds could gather as equals. No longer was it a symbol of domination. Now it represented cooperation and mutual respect. Inside the grand meeting hall, delegates from 24 planets waited. Some looked almost human. Others were as different from Earth life as could be imagined. Yet all shared one thing in common. They had been liberated from Council rule thanks to Earth's unexpected resistance. President Wells took her place at the center of the assembly. Beside her stood Ambassador Zorn, whose role had changed dramatically. After the Council's defeat, he had become an unexpected ally in the transition to a new galactic order. 1 year ago, President Wells began, we faced a threat to our freedom and our future. The Galactic Council saw Earth as just another world to conquer and exploit. They believed their superior technology guaranteed their success. She looked around at the assembled delegates. What they failed to understand was that technology alone does not determine the strength of a civilization. Earth's history taught us that lesson many times. The large screens around the hall showed images from human history. Ancient battles where smaller forces defeated larger ones through strategy and courage, resistance movements that overthrew powerful occupiers, and times when human ingenuity overcame seemingly impossible odds. We used the Council's own arrogance against them, Wells continued. And in doing so, we not only saved ourselves but offered freedom to worlds that had lived under Council rule for generations. Ambassador Zorn stepped forward. His once bright scales had dulled somewhat, but he held himself with dignity. The council believed that dominance was the natural order of the universe, he said. That advanced species had the right to rule over those less developed. We were wrong. Zorn's admission surprised many in the hall. Few had expected such humility from a former council member. Earth showed us a different path, he continued, one where diverse species can work together, learn from each other, and build something greater than any could achieve alone. Dr. Olivia Benson, now heading the Interspecies Communication Division, watched from her seat with satisfaction. Her work had expanded from simply understanding alien languages to helping forge real connections between wildly different life forms. The Universal Translator modules have been distributed to all member worlds, she reported, when it was her turn to speak. For the first time, we can all understand each other without filters or hidden meanings. Jack Riley stood at the back of the hall, preferring to observe rather than participate directly. The former intelligence operative had declined all offers of public recognition for his role in Earth's victory. He preferred working in the shadows, now helping to establish security protocols for the new alliance. The treaty we signed today is different from what the Council planned for Earth, President Wells said, holding up a document written in multiple languages. This is not about dominance, but partnership. Not control, but cooperation. One by one, representatives from each world came forward to sign the document. As they did, a map on the main screen updated, showing their worlds joining into a network of equals. When all had signed, Captain Carter looked at the completed map. What had once been the Council's empire was now something new. A true alliance. Of free worlds, the Galactic Union, they called it. We face many challenges, Wells said as the ceremony concluded. Some former Council members resist the new order. There are disputes to resolve between worlds with long histories of conflict, and we have much to learn about each other. But today marks a beginning filled with hope. Outside the embassy, ordinary, people from Earth and other worlds mingled in the gardens. Children played together, regardless of how many limbs or eyes they might have. Scientists exchanged ideas that would have been forbidden under Council rule. Artists created works that blended styles from across the galaxy. Susan Mitchell watched, it all with a sense of wonder. If someone had told me a year ago that this would be the outcome, I would have thought they were crazy. Humans have always been good at defying expectations, Carter replied. It's kind of our specialty. Ambassador Zorn approached them, accompanied by representatives from several formerly conquered worlds. Admiral Mitchell, Captain Carter, Zorn, said formally, "These leaders wished to meet the humans who helped trigger the liberation of their worlds." A tall being with 4 arms bowed slightly. "My people were the first the Council conquered, 300 years ago. We had almost forgotten what freedom felt like. And now?" Susan asked. "Now we remember," the being replied, "and we will never forget who helped us remember." As the sun set over the embassy, ships from 24 worlds patrolled the solar system, not as conquerors or defenders, but as partners in a new galactic order. Earth was no longer alone in the universe, and the universe was better for it. Dr. Nash, watching the stars come out from his lab window, reflected on how it had all happened. The Council had never understood what they were dealing with, a species whose greatest strength was not technology, but adaptability, whose paranoia had prepared them to recognize threats, and whose history of conflict had taught them countless ways to overcome superior forces. Earth's revenge had indeed shattered the Galactic Council's dreams of dominance. But from those shattered dreams, something far greater had emerged, a future where no species would ever again face the threat of subjugation. Among the stars, word spread of the small blue planet whose people had changed the course of galactic history, not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through courage, cunning, and an unwavering belief that freedom was worth fighting for. It was a very human victory, and it was just the beginning.